And welcome back to the 2024 PPA Desert Ridge Open from the JW Marriott here in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm Jim Kloss with bringing you action from the grandstand court. We've got a quarterfinal match here between the number 2 seed Thomas Wilson and Riley Newman and the number 12 seed Zane Navratil and Erik Lange. We've got first game action here. It's my pleasure to be joined for this match on the commentary with guest commentator, pickleball superstar, none other than Connor Garnett. Connor, how are you?
Doing well here. You know, this is a great match. Excited to see Riley and Thomas kind of get into that partnership. And Zane and Erik had a great battle with Hayden and Callan earlier, so this is some exciting pickleball here.
Absolutely. We've just had one great match after another. We saw you in action earlier, both in singles and mixed and then men's. Some great play all around from people. We're at 6-2-2, Riley Newman serving. Up to you. One thing we noticed with these players, Connor, that I'm sure you can comment on, we've got Riley Newman just recently announcing he's going with a Pro XR paddle. Looks like he's using Zane Navratil signature there, and of course, believe it or not, Zane seems to be using a Zane Navratil signature. I know you're with Pro XR. What do you think about those paddles?
Yeah, you know, the Pro XR paddle has been doing some great work for Zane. Excited to have Riley on the team. He's playing well with it, and you know, it's a great paddle. Love it. The company's been doing really well. They just acquired Paddle Tech as well, so Christian is pseudo on the team as well, so a lot of players are kind of getting on that train.
Well, I've used it myself, and it is an excellent paddle. Great feel and a little bit of pop. It's, you know, some paddles I think are more oriented toward feel, some maybe more toward power. I think that Pro XR paddle is an example of a paddle that can do the job both ways. Yeah,
no, 100%. It's got some great control. As you can see, Zane getting it to dip a little bit there on Thomas with that Pro XR paddle.
Yeah, one of the things we've seen with paddle technology recently, in a very recent time, is you know, and I wrote an article about this on pickleball.com. Whoa, great shot there by Zane. The development of topspin in pickleball, if you go back, say, 5 years and watch a pickleball match, there wasn't that much topspin. Now, I know in your own game, you employ just constant topspin.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the paddle technology, and coming from tennis, you don't really realize what you can't do. And so a lot of the new players to the game don't have these limits. And so you see they bring in the topspin, and the top players follow suit and start to implement it themselves.
There you see the power that these players can get on the ball. Riley Newman with a great counter. We see Riley playing a little bit more right side. This is something newer to their partnership. Riley, obviously a great left side player. I've often thought that if he wanted to do it, Riley could be the best right side player in the game.
Yeah, Riley with the backhand in the middle is definitely something that he can really create a lot with. So he's one of the few players who's able to do well on both sides.
Riley with a little bit of an unusual grip. Don't try this at home, but if you want to try the Riley Newman grip, basically put the paddle on a table and then just grab it. And you'll end up with, I guess I'd call it maybe a semi-Western.
Yeah, kind of that pancake semi-Western.
I think if I use that grip, my wrist would break playing pickleball. Ball was out. I know you've got a signature paddle there with Pro XR. Connor, is there a difference between your signature paddle and the Zane signature paddle?
Very similar to the Zane paddle, a little bit different colorway, and I think this year you're going to see Pro XR come out with a few different variations on the signature paddles just to add a little bit more variety with the pace and the shape of the ball. Wow, that's a great poke by Erik there.
I know you like to use a two-hand backhand. Do you like? Do you have a longer grip on it, or you just overlap?
Longer grip. I mean, that's one of the nicest things about it, is that 6-inch handle gives you the real estate for both hands to get on that paddle and really get the dip. That's a great drive.
That was a great drive, and Thomas handled it, but couldn't handle the next one. I mean, that's another development we've seen in pickleball in the recent years, is the prevalence of the two-hand backhand. I don't think I saw too many backhands when I started in pickleball about now it's getting more than a dozen years ago, but I didn't see too many two-hand backhands now, and now we see two-hand backhand all over the place. What advantages do you think that two-hander gives you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the two-hander gives you a lot more angle and control. I'll put my left finger on the back of the paddle, so I'm a right-handed player, and that left hand gives me a little bit more control and ability to get around the ball. And you'll see there's just more shape where the one-hander is a little bit more of a punch. Wow.
Riley with excellent footwork set up that around the post.
Yeah, really good awareness.
One of the things you want to do if you're doing around the post is patience, which you'll see the pros do that amateurs may not do with around the post. Amateurs so often hit that shot, they do an ITP rather than ATP and hit it into the post. What you really want to do is have patience, wait for that ball, let it get down around your ankle or so, and then you've got a lot better angle and can shape the ball, curve it a little bit, put it in that back corner. And Newman Wilson close out game 1.
Hey guys, today I just wanted to tell you about one of my new favorite accessories. It's this chair right here. It's made by a brand called Cliq, and this thing is amazing. It's super small, folds down about the size of a water bottle. It's very easy to set up. It takes me about 5 seconds to click this thing into place, and it makes a lot of sense for when I'm out in a place like this. They don't even have benches out here, so pop my chair down and I'm sitting pretty.
If someone doesn't handle the pace well, I use it a lot in mix to set it up, but that's kind of a great example there where if you don't get that drive low, you run the risk of really getting exploited with a high volley put away.
Well, all the players now are so good at countering, defense. Not so much with Erik Lange gets a ball in his wheelhouse, though. All these players with tremendous power. Paddle doesn't hurt, and you get the ball up, it's probably over. Zane probably with a little bit of a flick there that was a little too low for that. 1-0-2.
Great pressure by Thomas there, kind of getting a little closer to the middle, giving Erik a little bit extra to think about there.
Definitely the shake and bake, a big part of pro pickleball now.
Yeah, especially with this new ball, we're seeing a lot of driving on the thirds and really baking that, and it puts so much pressure on that first volley. If you don't hit a deep enough return, you get in a lot of trouble. And
yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Connor. I definitely wanted to ask you. Again, Jim Kloss here with Connor Garnett. Connor, what are your thoughts? I know we switched, PPA Tour switched from the Dura to the Vulcan ball starting January 1st. What do you see as the differences now with the Vulcan?
Yeah, I think the Vulcan ball is a little bit lighter than the Dura, so you can get away with a little bit worse speed ups, and you can get a lot more spin on it. So you'll see on the drops, there's less flat drops now and more topspin and slice drops. So just a more shapy ball, so those players that hit with spin are going to like it a little bit more, and the more fundamental players, I think, have to adapt a little bit with the ball.
I think the one thing we've seen, just to my wow, great move there by Zane, hitting it behind Riley. I think Riley was expecting middle, trying to do a little bit of poachy and got caught. I think one thing we've seen is the reaction of the ball on the serve. Sometimes it seems to hop up, other times it seems to stay down low, and we've seen sometimes you guys are so good, but every once in a while you look a little bad sometimes where the ball, it seems like you expect it to come up knee high and it stays down ankle high, or you expect it to be knee high and it hops up kind of waist high.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think we saw that a little bit on that shot right there, where the return has now become a lot more difficult, and it's more prevalent in singles too. You can even see those players with the bigger serves really get that advantage of those bounces here and there that aren't 100% true.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent point. We saw, I was watching an earlier match where Deco Barr and Tyson McGuffin were playing, and they pretty much won the match off the serve. They forced so many service errors. Look at the defense from Wilson and Newman.
Oh wow,
They
that's
really,
a great lead.
They really earned that point. Riley and Thomas giving each other a good, well-deserved paddle tap. Erik Lange hit the ball about, I think it was about 300 miles an hour, but it still came back. It's pros are so good with their touch and feel.
Big serve by Thomas right there.
Wow. The speed and the counters.
Yeah, that was a great attack by Zane, but Thomas really read it well, slid over, and was able to keep them in the point there.
Again, the defense by Thomas Wilson, getting 2 balls back that mere mortals would not have gotten back. If you get the ball back, you always have a chance to win. Not that time.
Third time's the charm for Erik there. He found Thomas's feet, got it to bounce a little deeper, and had some success there.
Not something you want to see there. Miss serve return, miss serve. Zane serving at 3-6-1 here in game 2, now 4-6-1. Zane known for a very good serve. Obviously he was the master of the chainsaw serve back in the day, but that's been outlawed, but he still gets some good power behind it. I noticed, Connor, that the players have a little bit of difficulty here on grandstand court with the room behind the baseline here on the south side. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of goes back to our point earlier just about the ball. The more you can get behind it and get a little extra space, the easier that return is going to be. And so having to short hop it with some of these massive serves that are coming in, it makes it difficult. That's some great hands.
Just unbelievable hands by all 4 players.
We need someone big.
A rapper?
No, this person needs more of a saint kind of vibe.
Dude, I got it. Super Bowl MVP.
Won't be a breeze to get him, but we should go for it.
I wouldn't settle for less.
So you think you make it on a pro tour?
Pro Tour? Going pro is in my blood, George.
Well, making pros is what we do.
Well, let's do this then.
Right elbow area, but some players are very good countering at that spot. So find your spot.
Yeah, and keep adjusting, because some players will start making changes and covering a different spot, so being aware of how the match changes and what players' tendencies are.
I think one thing we certainly see more of. Wow. Lose my thought, these shots are so good.
Wow.
Just wow. I mean, tremendous shots here by Newman and Wilson, and all it earned them was losing a point. But I think we've seen the prevalence more of players seem to be sliding right and countering backhand rather than relying on the forehand.
Wow, that's a huge drive there. You see some of these paddles now too with drive, just the pace of the drive just becoming too much to handle at the net.
Erik Lange, obviously a big man, gets quite a bit of power behind the ball. Riley Newman says, enough of that. I can play with a little power too, with a great counter setting himself up.
Yeah, that was a great read and a nice burst by Riley there.
Thomas Wilson serving at 6-8-1. If you're Newman and Wilson, you probably feel like you've dominated most of this match. You do not want to let game 2 get away to anything can happen game 3. It's
a great spot, catching him in transition, and you see a lot of times there when players move up too quickly, they expose themselves going right at them. Wow. That's just Riley getting gritty there. I don't think he had any business winning that point, but he just kept making balls over, and Erik definitely felt the presence there.
8-8-2. This has a feel of a big point. Seemed like he was earning the net there, but Zane with kind of a tomahawk backhand, the great angle, put it away. Lange now serving at 8-8-1. Oh, a loose return from Thomas. Gives him 9-8-1. You don't want to give him a game point here.
I think they want that one back.
Tremendous athleticism by Zane getting to that shot. Did a good job of calling that he was taking it, so his partner Lange knew to switch sides, but Erik couldn't convert. It sort of looked like it might have been long. No call though. Tremendous shot there from Erik Lange. Great angle. Zane serving at 10-8-2.
Wow.
That was an out ball, but pretty hard to get out of the way for anybody, especially when you're 6'5" or whatever Erik is, 6'6".
Ooh.
Thomas had his chance there. They'd worked their way in.
I think a little bit of indecision there. I think he thought Riley was going to take that one and was just a hair late on that backhand.
Yep.
Erik's reach in the kitchen has just made it so tough for Thomas and Riley to get in here as well.
Yeah, I think Erik can probably touch the net and not have a kitchen fault. Zane and Erik with a couple of game points here. Looking to even things up, and they convert the first one. And we are tied at a game apiece. We're going to go to game 3.
The official ball of the PPA Tour.
Have that wind behind you, and now you're just going to overpower your opponent. So it's a little bit of a personal preference and depends on the matchup as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sometimes I find like if it's a low wind, low speed wind, I like to be against the wind and have it sort of knock my drops down effectively. Whereas if it's a stronger wind, it's just sometimes too hard to overcome hitting against the wind. So I prefer to be downwind if it's really windy, and then just try to hit the ball at medium speed, and the wind will turn it into a deep shot.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, especially with the wind reaching into that kitchen becomes something that people will think they have a sitter and they're not going to be able to get it just because that wind's blowing it a little further into the kitchen.
A quick 2-0 lead here for Wilson and Newman. I think Riley hit an out ball there. He thinks so too.
Yeah, and you can kind of see Thomas and Riley are getting back into that first strike aggressive style that got them that first game, and I think that's probably what they were saying on the bench is as they lose one of those as well. So we'll see if they continue.
It's a nice shake and bake there from Lange and Navratil, getting to 1-2-1. I think that was a good example there of the third shot drive being used to set up an easier fifth shot drop. Lange hit a good drive, and then he got a ball back that was a lot easier to handle and was able to hit a very good controlled third shot. We're 2-2-2.
Great action on that drive there. Thomas was moving back, and so his weight shift wasn't able to go into the ball and have some pace behind it.
O'Reilly, obviously a great player. One thing sometimes he does is he leaves his serve returns a little short off the forehand. He tends tends not to use heavy topspin on his serve returns, tends to more push the ball, and sometimes when he pushes it, he leaves it a little short, and it's got a little bit of underspin on it, so you can attack it pretty effectively.
Yeah, that left hip Zane has been going at a lot from both sides on Thomas.
Three, two, one. Navratil and Lange with a small lead here. I think the side that Lange and Navratil are on right now, again, it's slightly downwind for them. I think that's the better side. It was certainly the better side yesterday. Excellent point there. Long, big exchange. Good hand battle at the end.
Yeah, great hands by Riley with Thomas with that power on the finish. A well-constructed point there.
Thomas to serve a 2-3-1. Well, 3-3-1. We'll see if either team can go for a run, or was this going to be another 11-9, 12-10 battle? Good drive there from Thomas Wilson, earns them a 4-3-1 lead.
Great spot by Zane there, really finding the middle. Both players were thinking he was going to their wings, and down the middle solves the riddle.
I thought he was going cross court myself. That was very well disguised. That right there is classic Riley Newman. Good drive off the backhand and a pancake to put it away.
And just like that, Newman and Wilson have a 3-point lead on the cross.
Loss.
Oh.
Riley had his shot there. A drop. Do I want to drive? Do I want to go to cross court? Which opponent do I want to go to? It's often not used for that. Interestingly here, Navratil and Lange have switched sides. Wilson hit an out ball there. Hard to hold back, of course. Four, 6-1.
Looks like the timeout paid off.
Riley with a nice serve return. They kind of had a bad bounce. One of those bounces where it just didn't seem to come up. Fought it off. Stayed alive and converted. So Connor, you mentioned earlier a good point about Zane in particular aiming at Thomas's right hip. If somebody's doing that to you, what adjustments can be made to take care of that and protect yourself?
Yeah, so I think you've seen Thomas slide to the two-y, which is one of my favorite shots. He'll be able to get a lot more punch behind it with the two-hander, or if you see it early enough, sliding to that forehand I think is the best option, but you have to be fully sure that they're going to that shot. So kind of you want to hedge and figure out what suits you best, but the forehand is definitely the optimal choice if you are confident it is going there. If you are not confident, you could end up looking a little bit silly with that by getting bagged, as we've seen a few times earlier this tournament. That drive drop by Riley there at about 50% pace is another newer shot to the game that we see utilized, where it's an aggressive shot that can get kind of down to the feet and really do some damage there, forcing the air.
Today, of course, is gender doubles day, not just men's doubles, but also women's doubles. So for those of you watching at home, our next match after this will be the number 22 seed Liz Trulock and Pirna Imperato with the difficult task of going against the number 1 seed. Some gals I think I've heard of. Connor, maybe you've heard of them. Annalie Waters and Catherine Parento.
Yeah, they ring a bell a little bit. I think together they may have went undefeated last year in women's doubles, so you know they're no slouches by any means.
Yeah, I think they have won a match or two together. Riley not liking the bounce off that serve and kind of running out of room. The fence is maybe, is it even 7 feet behind the baseline?
I think Thomas wants that one back. Took a little bit too big of a swing. Good leave by Zane and Erik there. Sometimes it's so tough to leave that ball when you're in the heat of the firefight.
Serve was very close.
And just like that, a 4-point lead is now just down to 1.
7-8-2 Zane serving. Erik Lange